Imagine being in a place where no one can hear you scream, where the darkness of night carries unseen dangers, where hunger drives you to stare at your own flesh, and where your only companion is your madness and will to survive this IS&T fiction. This was the reality of 26-year-old Clara, 456 days, one girl, one deserted island, and countless bloody nights. Today you, Ella, witness how an ordinary woman defied death and stayed alive for 456 days. This story T for the faint-hearted because it will shake you to your core. It begins on the morning of June 15th, 20-20-3. In San Francisco, 3 friends lived there. Clara, whose eyes held storms and dreams of exploring the untouched corners of the world, 25-year-old Maya, her best friend, and 28-year-old Liam, a fearless and seasoned sailor. They were tired of their dull lives and wanted an adventure. They decided to explore a mysterious island, one that no human had ever stepped on before an old sea map showed them a tiny green dot in the Pacific Ocean, Ethelgard Island. They prepared their ship, the Albatross, loaded it with months of food, water, and supplies. Their excitement touched the sky. They were off to discover a new world. For 4 days, the endless blue sea surrounded them. Dolphins raced beside their ship. It was a journey straight out of a dream. Then, on the morning of June 19th, a thin green line appeared on the horizon. As they got closer, it turned into an island. Ethelgard Island was far more beautiful and eerie than they had imagined. Dense forests, so thick that sunlight barely reached the ground. Black volcanic rocks along the shore where waves crashed and sang a haunting tune. Deer carried the strange mix of wildflowers and rotting wood, and colorful birds called from the trees. It was both paradise and menace. Liam anchored the ship near a calm cove, and the 3 stepped onto the island. They felt as if they had crossed into another world. The first 7 days were like living a dream. Glowing blue mushrooms lit up the forest at night. They found an old broken hut covered in vines, a forgotten mark of some lost civilization they spent their days exploring and their nights celebrating by the fire. It was the best time of their lives, but happiness never lost. On the morning of June 26th, it was time to return. They packed up everything. Liam turned the key to start the engine. There was a click and then silence. No matter how hard they tried, the ship wouldn't T-start. The radio was dead too. They were completely cut off from the world. Their paradise had become a prison. Only one hope remained, a small lifeboat, but it could hold only 2 people. After a long, silent night, they made the hardest decision. Liam and Maya would go for help. Clara would stay and wait. They left her with 10 days of food and water and a flare gun for emergencies. On the morning of June 27th, Clara hugged them with tears in her eyes. She watched as their small boat drifted away until it vanished into the horizon. She marked the wall in the cabin. Day 1 each morning, she looked out at the sea and carved another mark. 10 days passed, 10 marks. No one returned on the 11th morning. The sun rose, but her hope sank. She knew she was alone. Clara didn't know her friends were gone forever. The day after they left, a violent storm struck the ocean, turned wild, towering waves swallowed their tiny boat. Despite Liam's fight, the sea won in seconds. They were gone, buried in the deep, while Clara kept waiting for them. Every night she heard the storm and wondered where they were not. Knowing it had already taken them, her fight now was only to survive food. Right now she relied on rainwater, drinking dew from leaves in the morning. Nights were terrifying. Wild boars circled the ship, their grunts echoing through the dark, but hunger was stronger than fear. One day, weak and desperate, she sharpened a piece of metal into a spear and went hunting. After many failed attempts and wounds, she finally killed her first boar and ate for the first time in months. Each hunt was a battle between life and death. Days turned to weeks, weeks to months, months to a year. She carved 365 marks on the wall. The fragile city Gurn had turned into a wild warrior. She made clothes from boar skin and crafted a bamboo flute. Every evening she played sad tunes that echoed through the empty island. Time passed 400 days. Now her body and mind were breaking. One afternoon, she saw a ship on the horizon. She screamed, lit fires, waved her arms. But it kept sailing. Her heart shattered that day, yet from that broken heart rose a new resolve. I will not die here. She built a raft from bamboo, logs tied with vines, made a small sail from cloth, and named it Hope. She packed dried fish, coconut shells of water, and her precious flute. On the 426th day she pushed her hope into the sea, looked back at the island that had been her cage and her home, and set out into the unknown. At first, courage kept her afloat, but soon she realized she was a single leaf, lost in an endless ocean, blue water everywhere. Silence All around her, food and water dwindled 1 month, then to 450 days. Her skin burned under the sun, salt water cut open her flesh. Hunger hollowed her eyes. She began to hear voices imagined. Maya and Liam calling her sharks circled her raft, but fear had left her. She had surrendered, only breaths remained, it was. The 456th day she lay half-conscious when she heard a faint rumble. At first she thought it was a hallucination, then it grew louder. It was an engine. She lifted her head and saw a ship not far away. The Orion Star. She tried to scream, but only a whisper escaped. Tears rolled down her face. Life so close yet so far. Then her eyes fell on the flute in her lap. She grabbed it with trembling hands, placed it on her cracked lips, and blew with the last bit of strength left in her. A broken, aching melody drifted through the air. On the deck of the Orion Star, an officer turned to his mate. "Did you hear that?" It sounded like someone crying. They raised their binoculars and saw the tiny raft there. Someone in the water. The siren wailed when the rescue team reached her. Clara was unconscious, but her fingers were still clutching the flute. That one melody had pulled her back from death she had defeated. Death itself, with her courage and the song of her flute.